people texting and tweeting in about the boxing, because Josh
Yeah.
Taylor very late last night released a statement saying he's rewatched his fight with Jack Catterall and still believes he was the winner despite widespread criticism of the split decision. He went on to say on his Instagram, "My days at 140 are numbered. My future is at welterweight. Jack Catterall deserves another title shot, and as soon as possible. I've never ducked a challenge in my career, and I'd be happy to fight Jack again, but it would have to be at welterweight. Jack is a great sportsman, hell of a fighter, and deserves every bit of admiration he's been receiving." And again, Woodsy, I'm just looking here at some of the papers, all across the papers today. See that Gareth A. Davis says the judges should be suspended and fighters allowed an appeal after Catterall controversially lost his title. It's a long statement, isn't it, Woodsy, from Josh? I know you read it just there. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I thought it was a good statement, actually. He had to come out and say something, and I can't imagine being a sports person and being embroiled in something like this. We said this yesterday, actually, in terms of both of their futures. For Josh, you can't take anything away from what an incredible fighter he is and how dominant he's been and how successful he's been. With stuff like this, it's almost inevitable that that nasty side of social media and that hate will be directed at Josh. You've got to direct it somewhere else, because it's not Josh's decision. He doesn't call his own fights. He's a fighter, he's a winner. He genuinely believes it was a close fight, but he won that fight. That's what he believes. Other people disagree with that, but it doesn't mean that you can shower him with the sort of abuse him and his family have been receiving. I thought it was a good statement. He definitely looked washed out at that weight. I understand he doesn't want to fight at that weight anymore and he wants to go to welterweight. It's just a massive shame all round, I think, as well for Jack Catterall, because he obviously executed it so perfectly to the way that they wanted to in the game plan. Now when they fight again, it doesn't sound like they're going to be able to do it at that weight again, so it will be different, and inevitably everything about that fight will be completely different. But I just thought for Josh as well, it just comes with this kind of societal pressure, doesn't it, with social media, that you just know you're going to get barrages of abuse.
It's inevitable, isn't it, Laura?
Yeah, it shouldn't be, but it is. But I just thought it was a very good statement. I thought it was brave, and I thought he needed to come out and say something. I hope that they can get the next fight on, and I hope it works for both of them, you know, not just one way or the other. I do hope that Jack gets some kind of solace in this, if that's the fight he wants to go up to. What do you think, Ali?
I thought it was a great statement. It's a scandal, and it shouldn't be accepted by anybody, the abuse that Josh Taylor and his family have taken, right? That's the first thing you've got to say. Once we start accepting this kind of rubbish and thinking it's okay and it goes with the territory, then we're banging trouble. It's absolute nonsense. It shouldn't be allowed. It should be found, people should be found out, named and shamed, right? Because it's scandalous. The fight itself, Jack Catterall won the fight, right? That's my opinion on it. And there's nobody, and I mean nobody, loves Josh Taylor more than me. And what he's put Scottish boxing back on the map, what he's achieved, is fantastic. He's right in everything he says, apart from the fact that he thinks he won the fight, right? I've no doubt he watched the fight again, and I've got no doubt he believes he won it. I don't think he did. However, he will step up. That weight, it was great talking to Spencer yesterday, Spencer Oliver, who said that he saw Josh before the fight and looked at him and thought, you know, getting down to this weight has taken so much out of him, and it probably had. And maybe that was evident on the fight, on the night watching the fight. However, nothing, and absolutely nothing should be taken away from the performance of Jack Catterall, who, when I watched the fight, I thought was magnificent from start to finish. I really did. It might have been the fight of a lifetime for him. I hope it's not, because I hope he genuinely gets another opportunity to get a crack at a world title, because one thing you can guarantee, he absolutely deserves it. 100% he deserves it. He said he felt let down, and he was let down. He felt more for his family, his trainers, everybody that was involved, and that just shows you the stature of the man. He deserves another crack at it. If I'm Josh Taylor, I wouldn't be fighting at that weight again. I think that was clear. He looked, I wouldn't nearly said drained there, but he certainly didn't look the fighter that we know he can be. He said himself he doesn't think he'll fight at 140 again, move up to welterweight. I think that will be the case, but I think Jack Catterall absolutely deserves, if not a rematch, a crack at a title.
Problem is as well, Ali, you call it a scandal, but it happens so often in boxing, more often than we'd like to admit for a professional sport. It's gone unchecked, unregulated for such a long time. What you do hope might come out of this is some kind of change. I don't know what though, because it's not like we say, there's no kind of centralised thing with this that we can really attack and push forward. The scoring is being investigated by the British Boxing Board. But in terms of moving forward, how you implement change in a sport which is very much set up in this way will be very difficult. But hard conversations need to be had. And maybe because this is on such a big scale, maybe it might just be the start of something that might be able to change. You really hope so, because it's a bad look for boxing. It's a bad look for any youngsters.
It's not the first time it's happened, Ridgie.
No, it happens
you go back in history. I mean, I can go back to Leonard and Hagler and all these kind of fights. You know, it's not the first time it's happened, but it was just
a massive high-profile one. But you see it a lot, Ali. You see it so much. The more I work in boxing, the more I see it, and I just think, it's a professional sport, but it's also a very dangerous sport. And these kind of things, you know, you're playing with people's lives, and people commit their entire lives to this, which is why you saw how devastated Jack Catterall was. So, you hope it might make some kind of change, but who knows?
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.